You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to Barbell Logic. Welcome to Beast Over Burden. I'm your host, Niki Sims. I'm a coach of strength and of nutrition at Barbell Logic. Yes. With me is Andrew Jackson. You do similar things, right?
Professional barbell coach.
Oh, okay. Yes, thank you.
That's how I refer myself.
We are professionals. Well,
people approach me in the airport. That's how and they ask me what I do. I had a lady, I think I've mentioned before, resting, please don't talk to me face.
Just get away. Resting. Don't stand there. Do not look at me. Move away.
I feel like I'm such a friendly person, but everybody tells me otherwise. But anyways, I had my headphones in. I was jamming a sandwich into my face. Banh mi sandwich. It's really good. But it has super crumbly, like French bread. Fun story. The banh mi is Vietnamese food, basically. But the bread is French bread because the French had essentially colonized Vietnam for several years, but they didn't actually grow wheat there. So the true banh mi sandwich is made out of tapioca bread. Fun fact. Anyways, super crumbly, like spilling bread all over the place. And this lady just starts yapping at me about her daughter's dating life.
Everything.
Like out of nowhere. Her first question, she asked me if I was 6'10", joking, but I was kind of towering over her because I was wearing some boots and she was sitting and I was kind of standing. That was her opening line. And I thought she was going to try to like hit on me or something, but goes right into talking about her daughter who's in this like catch and release program, she called it, with boys. And she started explaining all her personal preferences. She likes them over 6'1", silky mane. Like, who describes hair as a silky mane? But anyways, but then she cracks this joke. She's like, yeah, I told her she should probably just be dating a horse. And
wow.
If I didn't have a resting please don't talk to me face before, I intentionally tried to turn the dimmer switch up on that one.
She would be so happy to know that you were talking about her right now. As much as you tried to shut her out, now we've had 2 conversations about her.
That was just the tip of the iceberg. We went into her travel schedule, her daily list of to-do list. I couldn't eat that sandwich fast enough. But anyways, fun story at the airport. Speaking of banh mi sandwiches.
Cramming food in your mouth. I want to talk about food because we eat a lot of it and it's important. It's also when we talk about processes versus outcomes, a lot of us have an end goal. And many times during our training journeys where we want to experience a different outcome, where you want to experience a certain outcome. And that's usually strength gain, body recomposition. We're losing some fat, gaining some muscle. That's generally how things tend to want to go. That is the outcome. That's the thing that we see at the end of the road here. But along the way, there has to be many training days, and there are so many meals that go into that. So many meals. Nutrition, in my opinion, is like, that's what's happening the other 22 hours of the day is you're thinking about food or you're eating food.
It's a lot of decisions. Even with training, let's say you're on a 4-day split or 3-day split. That's 3 to 4 decisions that you need to make in a week. Yeah, you could argue there's some decisions within that, but you're usually getting your programming maybe sent to you. With food, you're making 3 to 4 decisions a day just to decide about the meal. And then within the meal, there's another how many decisions to decide,
how much should I eat? I really want to eat this. My friends are eating this. I wish I could eat this right now. Screw it. I'm just going to do it. This will make me feel good. No, this doesn't make me feel good. I wish I had done something different. I'll do something on my next meal. I read online that I need to eat this way, so I'll do it that way next time.
And imagine if every time you went to go train, which sometimes this happens when you're traveling, but every time you go to train, it's different equipment with different weights available.
Yeah, it says a 10 on it, but it doesn't weigh 10.
Different friends and people in the gym that to varying degrees. And you've got to do that 4 times a day.
Oh, and you grew up thinking that you needed to do it this way. Yeah. So it's it's a lot. It's a lot. So a lot goes into that process of nutrition. And the meals are the process. That's a huge part of it. So we wanted to talk about things that we really love to eat that support what we try to do in terms of how we like to feel and how we like to look. One of the things that I've found to really work in terms of a habit around nutrition is eating similar things frequently, because it takes out guesswork. It makes your caloric intake more consistent, which is very useful when you're trying to work towards a certain kind of change. It makes grocery shopping easier and is a higher likelihood of me getting to eat what I want, which is great. So I thought I would talk about my breakfast that I make. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about today?
I want to talk about my breakfast. I know you just listened to a lady talk to you about her entire life, but I want to talk to you about my breakfast.
Let's do it.
You happen to really like it.
I mean, it is a good breakfast.
Just for the record, it's delicious.
I agree.
Okay, so the structure, here we go. Now I feel like you don't even want to listen to this. A good structure I have started to build out for the first meal of the day is protein. There are fats, there are some carbs, and I like to have fruits and vegetables. The fruits and vegetables, especially the vegetables, wasn't always in there, but I've really started to kind of pile the veggies on because I don't have any science behind this, but it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel really good to have vegetables in my breakfast. So if it were on the menu, it would read pastrami vegetable hash with 2 over medium eggs with a side of bacon and strawberries.
I like that.
Yeah. And the way it's made is I'll get this really amazing kitchen item that I highly recommend. Andrew found it. It's a griddle, right? So it's a griddle. It covers 2 burners on my gas stove. You can use it on an electric stove as well, but gives you a really great surface area to work with. It's cast iron.
Carbon steel.
Oh, carbon steel.
That's what's so great about it is Made In makes these carbon steel cooking equipment. I initially got the wok. My mom gave it to me for Christmas and then got the griddle. I'd been eyeing that up for months. And what's great about carbon steel is that it's effectively like cooking on cast iron at about half the weight. So, so you can pick that griddle up with one hand and kind of toss it around versus
even though I never move it.
A good cast iron pan. I have a hard time holding that.
That's a two-hander.
With one hand.
It's a 2-hander.
I mean, I do it often just to prove it to myself that I can, but it's kind of like, I will defeat you. Yeah. I put the wrist straps on.
Yeah.
Wrist wraps. Anyways, yeah.
So anyway, get
Shout out to Made In.
that griddle going.
We're not sponsored.
Nope, not sponsored yet. Throw on 2 strips of bacon. This is if I'm making it for 2 people. 2 strips of bacon. I prefer center cut. It's a little bit lower in fat. Cooks really nicely.
Ooh, one other thing. The carbon steel is naturally nonstick.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so amazing.
With very little seasoning.
You really don't need a bunch of oil.
The cast iron, eventually, we got to nonstick by cooking baking in it literally every single day.
It's a process.
And
it's
never washing it. But the carbon steel is almost out of the box, basically nonstick.
But I put some work into it as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, so get 2 strips of bacon on there. I like center cut, a little bit lower fat. That also gives you some oil to cook with later on in the process. While that's cooking, cut up some white onions, I like bell peppers, orange or red, into little squares. I also add a jalapeno, get that diced up, and then get some bok choy. This is a new obsession of mine, bok choy for breakfast. Yes. So chop the stalks, hold on to the leaves for later. And then as the griddle gets heated up, you can add a little bit of oil if you want to, but then throw that on there because the longer those vegetables cook, they only get better. So that's all going. As the vegetables start to get some color, I learned this from you, Andrew, add some salt.
Yeah,
wait until they have experience some change.
The salt extracts water out of the vegetables. So if you salt immediately, your vegetables,
they're really wilty.
They get steam. They start steaming.
Yeah.
And you don't want vegetables to get that. Which is also great about the griddles. You can spread the vegetables out. So when you're cooking, you never want to have a big pile of stuff all together because then it'll just get soggy and kind of coagulated into this
gross
blob.
Send it back to the kitchen.
Spread it out, let it breathe, and let
it be crispy.
Wait till you start hearing that kind of sizzle, and then add the salt.
I'll know it's hot enough when I put the veggies on, and it gives me a sound feedback of crispiness. Yeah. It's great. So flip the bacon when it needs to be flipped, and then just let those veggies go. Let them cook really for as long as you can. Keep them spread out. And then I'll sometimes, when there are 2 of us here, I'll move the veggies onto a cast iron that I've heated up so that I can clear the grill for eggs, and then just get eggs on the griddle, cook those up till they're to your liking. And I'll sometimes have some toast that I'll put on there. I use Dave's Killer Bread. I like the thin slices because, just a good calorie control.
Really
for
what
me.
we need is a second griddle.
Yeah, we're getting to that period of time. So I love breakfast. Anyway, so we've got eggs going. I like the extra large eggs because they also have more protein in them. I think they have more egg white, not a bigger yolk. So you get like 1 more gram of protein per egg.
You've been getting that bougie hippie egg stuff too.
No, I'm back to just the Kroger extra large white eggs. Better price point because we eat so much of them.
You can see the color difference though. Like the yellow in a...
Oh yeah, if you have access to tasty, yellowy, delicious eggs.
If you have a farm.
Chickens, yeah, awesome. So yeah, while that's going, I'll chop up the strawberries. And then I will, towards the end of the vegetable cooking process, I will chop up, this is important, guys, pastrami turkey by Boar's Head. You get that from the deli. Chop that into chunks. I usually add per person 50 grams. And so with between that, your bacon and your eggs, I usually end up with close to 40 grams of protein for this breakfast, which is, I think, a great way to start the day. Fat is 18 or something. Yeah,
really?
So not terrible.
Okay.
Yeah, coming from the eggs and the bacon.
Yeah.
And I like using the bacon grease because then I know that I'm getting grease from something that I've already accounted for instead of adding extra olive oil, which I do sometimes, but it's not a big amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty solid ratio, 2-to-1 protein. I was thinking about that yesterday as I was trying to pick stuff out at the airport, and everything's marketed now as high protein.
Yeah. Also high fat.
And it's right. It's like 1-to-1 were some of the better ones, but often it was higher fat than protein.
And that's the case with most eggs and most bacon.
Yeah.
Especially with bacon, you'll have more fat than protein if you're not careful.
Because you've got the pastrami in there.
The pastrami turkey really helps.
You bump up the protein.
Yeah. So, and the Dave's Killer Bread and some tortillas. Yeah.
You're not a pull the egg yolk out kind of person or egg white.
No, we used to do that, but I think this is actually your idea. Like, you just need to have so much egg white to get a decent amount of protein that it just like makes your meal taste watery and gross.
Right.
So it just stopped being worth it. And I started using deli turkey instead. But add that pastrami turkey to the vegetables. And then towards the very end of the process, take the greens part of the bok choy, chop those up however you like them, and then add them at the very end.
Bok choy is fascinating because it's kind of like celery plus spinach.
Yeah.
And yet they both taste a little bit better than each of those. The leafy part tastes better than just shoveling spinach. Stem tastes better than
celery.
And eating celery.
Like,
but
doesn't
you get
have
them all
much
combo.
taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, then get that onto your plate. Throw your eggs down. I'll also warm up some of those La Banderita low-carb tortillas. So I'll have one of those, 1 piece of Dave's Killer Bread. And yeah, that meal is like, I think it's fewer than 400 calories total. I posted this on my Instagram not too long ago. It was better than any Starbucks breakfast option I could possibly find. But yeah, it's like under 400 calories. And the coolest thing is you just feel so good after you eat this. Like, I don't know how else. It's so weird. Of all the breakfasts that I've had, this one makes me feel like, man, that energy is exactly what I needed right now. I feel so good. I don't feel too full. I'm not still hungry because you're getting like lots of fiber, lots of texture variety. I add some Chipotle Tabasco at the end, and that adds a little bit of vinegar, which I think is really good on eggs. And anyway, it's such a tasty breakfast. Highly recommend.
Agreed. Well, I'm going to try to give something maybe
Sorry, oh my God, that was 15 minutes of me talking about my breakfast.
That was a long breakfast discussion. Wow, the clock is really ticking past 15 minutes right now. That's amazing. Well, I'll take credit for maybe 3 minutes of it in the lady story.
Yes.
But I'll give a practical tip for those on the go. I see a lot of clients sending, we do the visual food diary and they grab breakfast at Starbucks. And I do often as well, because it's everywhere. I think that's the main reason. And so you talk about the process. I just had a client the other day post the bacon Gouda egg and cheese breakfast sandwich. And it's not horrible. It's like 400 calories, maybe 390, but 18 grams of protein, I think, and maybe 12 to 15 grams of fat and 30 grams of carbs, if I remember correctly. But I wouldn't call that bad by any means. But from a process perspective, what I generally try to do is, like I was just talking about earlier, I'm trying to get the highest protein to fat ratio that I can and the highest protein to total calories effectively
That one's 1-to-1.
1-to-1.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, there you go.
18 fat, 19 protein, 35 carbs.
Perfect. Okay. So I had the client post that, and this is actually one that I picked up from you as well. I used to get not the Gouda, but I would just get the sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwich. But I recently started swapping that out for the turkey, bacon, egg, and cheese, which I believe...
That sausage, cheddar, and egg is 29 grams of fat and only 18 protein.
Oh, there you go. So the Gouda was actually an incrementally better decision.
Yep.
And the turkey bacon
that was clutch.
Is even better for a couple of reasons. I think that the buns are actually better or lower fat, just based on looking at the taste and the texture.
Looking at the taste.
Well, or tasting the tasting the texture.
Taste the taste.
Anyways, that one's a better option. And then you throw the egg white bites in there.
Yeah.
And then you get pretty dang close to, it's about 400 calories.
Yep.
But you get significantly more protein, about the same fat, but because it's so much higher protein for the same number of calories, it's a good trade-off.
So that combo, the sandwich itself is 5 grams of fat, 17 protein, which is already way better.
Yep.
And then when you get the egg white bites, you've got another 8 grams of fat and 12 grams of protein. So you're up there at 30 protein.
With less than the Gouda total fat sandwich on itself.
Yeah. It was interesting because I was comparing breakfast, and I compared the egg white bites plus the sandwich to my breakfast. And my breakfast was the one that I just described, is about 400 calories, way more protein,
way more fiber,
way less fat, lots of fiber.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
but you got to eat on the go. And that's totally what I eat on the go.
Exactly.
Is that sandwich and these egg bites or some oatmeal.
My other recent pro tip is that I started doing skim milk or non-fat lattes. And
with the Fairlife milk.
With Fairlife, it's kind of like having a caffeine protein shake in the morning. Tastes great, easy to make, easy to order. And, you get a decent amount of protein and keep the fat under control. But that's just a small choice there that I can't really tell the difference between a whole milk or, full fat latte. And I mean, I'm sure the connoisseurs out there can, but if you're just getting through your daily habit, in my mind, from a process perspective, I try to encourage clients to look for ways to add protein without adding a lot more fat, and then look for ways to strip fat out. Anywhere you can just identify a source of fat and pull it out without really affecting the rest of the experience, do it.
Dressings,
cheese on the salads.
Nuts on salads.
Yes.
Yeah, cheese on salads. And mostly anything that they will add to a meal, like sauces and garnishes.
Right.
Even vegetables at restaurants will usually be in a lot of butter.
Yep.
So something fresh. Yeah. More fresh, less cooked is generally a good kind of direction.
Yep. What other recipes are your go-tos?
Every day, frozen blueberries. I warm them up just a little bit. Add 200 grams of Greek yogurt and some powdered peanut butter.
Yeah.
Because that peanut butter is also really good. PB2 is one brand where, I don't know, they take out all the oil. So you just are left with a little teeny bit of fat, but then a good amount of protein and some carbs. And so you just add water to it, and it's delicious peanut butter.
I do 200 grams of Greek yogurt and blueberries almost every day as well.
And
recently started either adding sugar-free Jell-O.
That's amazing.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Just adds it feels like I'm eating dessert.
Yeah.
I have actually gotten to the point where the blueberries and yogurt feels like dessert, but even adding the Jell-O on top, it takes it to
I think 5 calories.
Actually rather eat that than ice cream. Because I like the taste of ice cream, but I don't like the way I feel after I eat the ice cream, especially at night. I think it's just maybe too much sugar or something. I just have a hard time going to sleep.
I feel complete happiness.
Hey, have no judgment there. I'm sharing my experience.
Well, my ice cream recipe, here's a long one. Tillamook mudslide ice cream. And then with a really nice salt shaker grinder, grind some sea salt on top.
Okay.
It's delicious.
Health. That's a clutch recipe.
It's so good.
Nice. I thought you were going to say
that's it.
Grind some protein powder.
Oh no. It's just grind some sea salt on it. You don't need much, 2 turns of the grinder. Enjoy.
Here was one I saw from a client recently that I haven't tried it myself, but I want to. Whipped cottage cheese. Have you ever had this before?
No.
He was basically doing sort of like a Greek yogurt. I think he put fresh berries or jam in there or something like that, but it's whipped cottage cheese, which
I would give that a shot.
Yeah. It looked tasty. But anyways.
I'll just throw in a dinner, which is basically, not even basically, exactly the same vegetables as I walked you through for breakfast, but with your meat of choice and some rice. I do low fat taco meat, like 92, 94, 96%, whatever I can find. I've got just a eyeballing seasoning that I use. I don't use pre-bought taco seasoning. That can come with a lot of weird stuff in it. And then, just add that with some delicious rice and the vegetables. And you can add an egg on top of it. You can add some Greek yogurt as a substitute for sour cream. So freaking good.
One of my go-to dinners lately, I actually just had this 2 nights ago. Just chicken breast, is to chop the chicken breast in half so that it cooks faster.
Not lengthwise, but
in the sagittal plane.
Make it flatter, yeah.
Or no, the
frontal?
Coronal plane.
Coronal plane. Nice.
Make them thinner, basically, and salt them immediately. Now, meat, as opposed to vegetables and potatoes, you want to salt as fast as you can. Same with eggs, too.
You want to salt those right when you get them on the heat.
Yeah, right when you put them on.
Okay.
And with chicken, like if you can salt it pretty heavily and then put it back in the fridge for a while, then that almost actually starts to cook. It starts to break the proteins up in the meat. So you can salt it as early as you want, well before you even start cooking it. Let it sit for even overnight would be fine. And that'll make it stay juicier longer and just be more tender.
What's the proper word when we're talking about chicken? Not juicy.
Not juicy?
Moist.
Make your chicken more moist.
It's moisty.
Then set the oven to 405. I like to then chop up potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, make them relatively small chunks, particularly fingerling, because they're a little bit
medley.
Yeah, they're more solid, basically, than like if you just take a russet potato.
Oh, yeah, those just kind of fall apart.
But you can still do that, but they just they chop better. Do not salt them.
Okay, potatoes you salt at the very end?
Salt at the end.
Okay.
Notice, like if you ever even watch them make French fries at McDonald's, they deep fry them and then you salt at the end. Yeah. Because if you put the salt on them, again, you start extracting the moisture. They get soggy. They never cook. They never get that like crunchy potato thing.
To me, it's sounding like it's lunchtime.
So anyways, you put that in 405, let it sit for a while until it gets crunchy, season as you want, salt, garlic powder, chicken, then, fix up a salad.
Yep.
Easy.
So tasty.
It's easy. Just stuff it in the oven, let it go until it's done, and you're good to go.
Yes. Some principles I would love for you to take away from this are protein choices tend to be eggs, chicken, beef.
Lean beef.
And Greek yogurt.
Yeah.
Like the milk, Fairlife milk tends to be a good one. But these ones you're able to really have a good idea of how much fat you're also committing to.
Right.
And you have more control over it. And then we also have some sort of fresh vegetable or fruit component as often as we can. That really, I believe, makes you go longer without having to eat. If you are having protein, fat, and some fresh fruit or vegetable all in the same meal from snacks to dinner, like I think you're just able to go longer without, lots of cravings.
Can I give one more clutch recipe?
Oh my gosh, yes.
For all the Instapot homies.
Mm-hmm.
You know who I'm talking about. The Instapot homies.
Talking to me.
Rice.
Oh, yeah. You got it. Yes. Listen up for this rice.
A life-changing really Instapot recipe. Put the rice in, rinse it till it's not cloudy, obviously. Pour all the water out. Then 1-to-1 water. So if you put a cup of rice in, you put a cup of water in, or even better, the homemade chicken stock that you made over the weekend from the leftovers when you bought your whole chicken.
And your vegetables from your breakfast.
That's right. But you could also get store-bought chicken broth as well. A little bit higher fat content with that one, but tasty. Either way, some sort of 1-to-1, either water or chicken stock. If you just do water, throw in a dash of salt. Just grab
not a dash.
Pretty good load of salt.
Put some salt in there.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then optional to either add a pat of butter or you can put a little oil.
Coconut oil is good.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay.
Rice, water, salt, optional butter. Put the lid down. Set it for 3 minutes, high pressure. Don't use the rice setting. Rice setting is horrible.
Throw it away.
Stop. Exit out. Unplug that button. I don't know if you can do that. High pressure, turn, keep warm off.
Yes. Also important.
Start. Once the 3 minutes goes off, you set your watch for a 10-minute timer and let it.
Don't open the lid. Don't do anything.
No.
Don't touch it.
Natural
No touching.
depressurization for that 10 minutes. As soon as that thing hits 10 minutes, bang. You hit the manual.
Open the pressure
You
valve.
open the pressure valve. Soon as you can crack that lid off, you start scooping the rice out.
Into your
Don't
mouth.
let it sit in there.
It gets so sticky.
It gets bad.
Yeah, you got to get it out.
But if you
Yeah.
can time it just right, man, that's good rice.
It's so good.
And it's so fast and
It's
easy.
like a problem how good it is.
It takes a couple of minutes to spool up. I mean, what? Less than 20 minutes for sure.
I think the rinsing part is the longest part.
Yeah, if you factor in all the prep, I mean, it's 20 minutes,
Yeah.
even though you're only technically cooking for 3 minutes or whatever.
Mhm.
Let him cook.
Let the boy watch.
Let the boy watch. All right, so.
Okay, and that's a perfect place to end this.
Yep.
Happy eating. I'm so excited to eat. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Favorite
Makes lunchtime.
process. Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for listening. Hope you get some tasty meals out of this. And we'll see you next time here on Beast Overburdened.
Bye-bye.